I'm Luke Jamison.
And I'm Laura Butvinick, and we totally geek out about employee experience.
We're on a mission to discover how putting employees at the center of your organization impacts business.
So join us as we dive in with thought leaders, employee experts, and the best experience creators.
This is Boost, a podcast proudly powered by Centrical.
Here are your hosts, Luke and Laura.
Hey, welcome to Boost.
We've got an incredible show for you today. Let's get our producer Jillian out here to help us kick off the show. Jillian, what fabulous guest is joining us today?
Laura, I know you're going to love the guest today, but Luke, this one really is for you because we know how much of a fanboy you are of this episode's guest. We have Annette Franz joining us today. She is a fantastic coach, a keynote speaker, and an author on the topic of customer experience, and of course, the object of Luke's fanboyness. But most importantly, she has a heart for culture and how the employee experience directly affects customer experience. Her latest book, Built to Win, is all about creating a customer-centric culture. And we really could not be more excited to welcome her today. She's going to be talking about why her customer experience success framework starts with the employee experience, how employers can make a lasting first impression for their employees on day one, and she's even agreed to stick around for a game with us at the end of the show.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, she sounds amazing, Luke.
I'm
I
jittery.
see why.
I'm jittery.
I see. We got some heavy breathing going, some shaking.
I know. I'm going to go, if I can, I'm just going to go grab a brown paper bag and just like hyperventilate for a little bit.
I'm here for you every step of the way, and I also cannot wait to get to know Annette.
Nice. Well, I truly am beyond excited and just can't wait to get cracking on this one. This is going to be great. But I think just to quell the nerves, just get me into the zone a little bit. Maybe we can just kick off with just a wee tiny little game. What do you reckon? Jillian, help us out.
Luke, you read my mind. It's time for a wee little game of 2 secrets and a lie. So according to a recent Gartner survey, employers have made significant investments in their well-being programs lately, which means that they're providing more resources to help their employees' mental, physical, and financial health, which is great, right? Mm-hmm. Which of these 2 things were cited as direct outcomes of those investments? Number 1, higher levels of mental and physical health. Number 2, better sleep. Or number 3, more time for hobbies. You're choosing the one lie.
All right, I'm gonna say B, better sleep. I'm not sure. I'm kind of trying to do wishful thinking on more time for hobbies. That's how I would use it.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to sit on the fence with this one and go B, because if we both get it right, we're so far we're at an even score, but I'm going to have to go with B as well.
Okay. So you both chose better sleep as the lie. You're wrong.
Oh,
Better
It's C,
sleep.
isn't it? It's C.
It's C. It's more time for hobbies. That is not a cited outcome of these employer well-being initiatives. But better sleep is. How great is that?
Honestly, I thought it was too good of an outcome. Like, I want better sleep for sure.
Okay, thank you all for having me. I think you 2 can take it from here.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Jillian.
Thanks, Jillian.
And now introducing Annette Franz.
Wow. So look, as it's probably been alluded to, I have been following along for such a long time with you, Annette. Every tweet and every LinkedIn, it's always just truth bomb after truth bomb, and so it's great. Your consulting firm, you have your own consulting firm, CX Journey Incorporated or Inc. Obviously, it's customer experience focused, but look, the reason we really wanted to have you on our podcast is because you argue that it's actually employees that come first, and you take us. Just want to take us through your thinking there.
Yeah, of course. It's interesting because the saying really is that employees have to come more first, and that comes from a book that Hal Rosenbluth wrote called The Customer Comes Second. And in that, he talks about how really If we're going to put the customer first, we need to put employees more first. And that's the thinking behind that, right? Employee experience drives customer experience. And so we've got to make sure that we take care of our employees. And when we take care of our employees, they'll take care of your customers.
It's so true. And so in this relationship between the employee experience, the customer experience, what do you think truly drives great employee experience and great employee engagement and satisfaction that then will trickle over to the customer experience?
Yeah, great question. So engagement and satisfaction are really the outcomes of a great experience. And so we have to first understand what the employee experience is to really know what ultimately results in the employees being engaged and satisfied. And it includes all the different ways that employees touch or interact with the company and vice versa, right? Probably even more importantly, the emotions, the feelings, and the perceptions that the employee has about not only the interactions and the capabilities, but just, all of that, right? And so the key factor really is caring for your employees, right? If leaders care about their employees, if leaders take the time to listen and act on what they hear and do the right thing for their people, that's where we're going to see employees that are satisfied, engaged, right? We need to make sure that we have leadership that cares. It falls on them, and if they set things on the wrong course, then the experience is going to be crappy, and the outcomes will be as well.
We often hear about, it's kind of one of the new sort of go-tos, great EX equals great CX. However, I kind of want to get your thinking around, so how does a customer-centric culture create a better employee experience? So kind of flipping that a little.
I love that, because obviously the employee is a huge part of that. So in the introduction, you mentioned my latest book, Built to Win. In that book, I talk about the 10 foundational principles of a customer-centric culture, right? What you need to have in place to deliberately design this customer-centric culture. And the top three things when it comes to building a customer-centric culture. The first one is culture is the foundation. The second one is that we've got to have leadership commitment and alignment to, creating this culture, because this type of culture is deliberately designed. And then the third principle is, employees must come more first. And the reason is, again, it goes back to what we were just talking about, that employees are the ones who deliver the experience, right? So we have to focus on the employees. We establish these core values that make a better experience for the employees, because they know what's expected, they know how to act, they know how to interact. And if we have this customer-centric culture where we say, hey, we've got to bring the customer into the organization, we've got to bring the customer voice into everything that we do, who's the proverbial they who's got to do that, right? We talk about company. The company's got to do this. The company's got to do that, but it's the employees. And so when we take the time to build this customer-centric culture, we're doing all the right things. We're laying the foundation for this winning organization that really pays dividends for the employee, because we've got to take care of them. We've got to make sure they have the right tools and the resources to do their jobs and to do them well. We've got to make sure that they're cared for, that they've got policies that aren't outdated, processes that aren't broken. They've got the workspace, a great workplace. So we do all the right things to make sure that they're taken care of, all in the name of building out this customer-centric culture. So they will not get left behind if we build out a customer-centric culture. We also, three of the principles are, and that is such a key thing as well. I think this is really essential to building a customer-centric culture, is that it's obviously all about putting people first, whoever those people are, right? That's what it's all about.
You're saying, who is the they? Because I do think when people talk a lot about employee experience, it's or just like successful companies, it's this idea like we do all these highfalutin things, but who's the person? It's a human being at the end of the day that's really delivering. And I think that's what's really shining through for me in this conversation.
Definitely. Great moment. Yes.
It's so easy, isn't it? It's so easy just to palm it off to the they.
The proverbial they. Yeah.
They'll do it. They'll do it.
Wow.
Absolutely. And what's interesting, and this came about last summer. Obviously we have this great resignation thing going on. And so I've been in this profession for 30 years. I started at J.D. Power and Associates in 1992. And from those early days, I was talking to companies about, okay, listening to customers, great. Let's listen to employees too. And they would say, we're just going to focus on our customers now and employees later. And my goodness, it's later. It's later and it's too late, right? So that's, in my mind, that's what this whole movement right now is all about, is that, employees are pushing back. They're saying, hey, listen, we are the company, and we need to be taken care of.
And if not, I'm walking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. If customer experience really it's so tightly connected to employee experience, like you're saying, how do we track that? How do we really understand what is going on with our employees? Are there metrics that folks can look to, or what are some actions that people can really take day to day to be more aligned with what their employees are thinking?
When we think about metrics in the employee experience realm, we're looking at employee engagement, satisfaction, happiness, retention or turnover, however you look at that. And I always say when we're tracking retention or when we're tracking turnover, we should not just look at it as a company overall, but down to the department and manager level, right? Because then we can really get to start identifying, okay, there's some issues happening here in this pocket of the organization. I would also look at, promotions, internal, how frequently are employees being promoted? Is that even happening? I would take a look at learning and development and some of those metrics around, are we offering learning and development opportunities for our employees, and how are they bringing them back and using them, right? Employee NPS, there's another one, right? I've left that one for last intentionally because, it's likelihood to recommend the brand or the company as an employer, which is great, but you have to have some meat behind that as to why. All of these have to have a why behind them. So like I said, it's not just about the metrics, it's also about the actions. And one action that I would say is that, leaders, managers, supervisors, whoever you are, have to take the time to talk to employees and get to know the employees and get to know them personally and get to know them as the humans that they are. I think that's such a key thing, to have those regular communications, make sure that they know that they're seen and heard, find out what it means to them, if and how and when they feel valued. What does that look like, right? So I think that's really important. And then when it comes to actually, actions that can be taken and the things that we need to do to improve the experience, it's the same work that we do to improve the customer experience, right? It's those three things that I always talk about: listen, characterize, and empathize. Listen is all about feedback and data that we have on our employees and using that, not just doing quarterly or annual surveys, but actually using that feedback to make improvements, to make the experience better for them. Characterizing is all about personas. We want to develop employee personas so that we have a better sense of who our employees are and what's important to them and why they work here and what problems they're trying to solve, and just deep dive into who they are, right? And then finally, empathize is about journey mapping, right? And mapping the employee experience throughout whatever interactions or whatever journeys they take as an employee, to make sure that they have what they need to do their jobs. I always say nobody comes to work wanting to do a bad job. We all come to work wanting to do a great job. So if we can really understand what that means, what that entails, what tools and resources and training and processes, et cetera, that they need to do their jobs well. I have, when I first start interviewing, or when I start working with new clients, I interview the leadership team or the executive team, a sampling of employees and a sampling of customers. And you know what? The very first time I heard this statement from an employee, I went, man, these people get it. and leaders don't give them enough credit. The statement was, we don't have the tools and the resources to serve our customers the way that they deserve to be served. You listen to the leadership team and you would think that everybody in that organization came to work and just, a bunch of slugs, right? But to hear an employee say, we don't have this to do our job, I mean, that's the bottom line right there.
Yeah. So true. But you don't wake up in the morning going, I'm going to do a bad job. This is the day I'm going to do it.
This is the day. This is the day. Yes.
When it comes to employee experience, when those first pivotal moments, those interactions with an employee, with an employer, how pivotal are they in your mind?
Very. Short answer.
All right, next
is
question.
It's all about that first impression, lasting impression, right? First impression. And here's a crazy thing: when people start talking about employee experience, if they're talking about it, they don't think about the moment that the employee or potential employee first interacts with the brand. And that goes way back to, filling out a job application or submitting a resume or, through your whatever app or, portal you're using online, to the whole candidate experience and that whole interviewing process and the responsiveness or the lack of responsiveness. I think people don't think about that part of the employee experience, because ultimately you're interviewing these people because you're looking for somebody who wants to come and work for you. So wouldn't you put your best foot forward, right, and deliver a great experience there? But instead that's not happening, and it leaves a bad taste in candidates and employees' mouths. So you get hired and you're like, wow, I went through 17 rounds of interviews. This took me 3 years to get here. I'm exaggerating, but I've seen some pretty ridiculous processes like that where you finally end up, either the candidate gives up, or if they do get hired, it really has set the stage for us, leaves a sour taste in your mouth. And then, so if you can get through that candidate experience and make that optimal and deliver a great experience there, the next big thing that hits employees is that orientation / onboarding. And orientation is one thing and onboarding is something completely different. And that onboarding experience is so critical. I've worked with clients where the employees don't have computers for their first 2 weeks, or they don't know who their manager is, or they never met with a manager in those early days. And it's like, what do you mean? It's shocking, but it actually does happen. And so that's a pretty critical point in the entire experience. Is let's get our employees off on the right foot here. And there are plenty of situations and clients where that has not happened. And it's crazy to think that you would go through that whole process to hire somebody, bring them on board, and you actually don't even have a desk for them, or you haven't, the manager hasn't talked to them since, during the interviewing process, but not on day one, and maybe not even on day 7, And so that's a little crazy to, hire somebody and then just kind of throw them to the wolves and help, ask them to figure it out for themselves. So very critical part of the process there. It's first impressions. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm interested in hearing if you think there's an element like in customer experience where, I'm going to tell Luke about this awesome product that I just started using, and their customer support was amazing. Like, you can trust them.
Yep.
Do you think that also exists within companies, especially like you were saying with candidates and just employment, going all the way back to the application?
Yeah, you can go on Glassdoor, right, or any of those review sites, and you can read what that experience was, even if it's just the interviewing, the candidate experience. You can read all about that, and I would think that would, and it does. It turns people off, or it turns people on. If it was a good experience, then yay, great. But
and it can be pretty raw. Some of that stuff is raw that's on there, right?
Seriously,
but nothing is better than going and seeing an amazing review and knowing that it could be really raw or it could be really, really positive, and then I want to work there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a few minutes to stick around for one little segment of our show?
Oh, sure. Why not? Just as long as we're not singing, remember? I think we did say we are not singing.
There we go. No, I did the singing for today. But
Annette, unfortunately, it's actually not up to us. It's we like to play this little game called the Fate of the Eight. Right. And so whatever happens here, you have to realize it's not our fault. It's the fate of the 8 ball. So, Laura, what are we going to do? Are we going to sing a song? We're going to play a game. We're going to ask a question. Let's ask the 8 ball.
Let's see. Fate of the 8, where we look into the magic 8 ball to decide our fate. Will it be a question or will it be a game? Will this be a question? You got lucky. It's without a doubt.
Okay, Annette, please share with us your favorite hype up song.
All right. Wow. I'm thinking about this, but I'm going to go back to this. Take me way back to when I was in high school, and I was running track and cross country. This was, and this is still a song that sticks in my head every day, and it is "Eye of the Tiger."
Music. Way to come in.
This needs to be the outro, the intro.
Right?
Yeah. No copyright. It's all good. All right. Annette, thank you so much for joining us for our little humble variety show. It's been a blast, and you have just, blown my mind. Hopefully the audience is feeling the same. Where can our amazing audience find you online?
Oh, well, thank you. And first of all, thank you for having me. This was a fun conversation, so thank you for that. I'm going to announce, this is the first time I'm announcing it on air. I have a new website.
Ooh.
Whoa,
You heard it here first, folks.
Yes. It is AnnetteFranz.com. So you can go there and you can connect with me through that site. The cx-journey.com is still live and kicking, but this is a new site that's launching with the launch of the book and everything too. So, and LinkedIn. I love connecting with people on LinkedIn. I've met some of the greatest people there. So anybody can connect with me there.
Love it. Thank you so much, Annette.
Thank you for having me. This was great. Thanks so much.
Oh, well, fanboy moment complete. Laura, what was your mind-blown moment today?
My mind-blown moment of this talk, it was amazing. But one thing that really stood out was about creating essentially like an employee journey map, like being just as intentional as we are about customer journeys, but for our own employees, being thoughtful about it.
Yeah, that's
What about
awesome.
you?
I think mine was just showing up for your employee on their first day. We forget as managers sometimes how big that first day is. And so we need to put ourselves in the employee's shoes and just be as excited as they are.
Oh, so true. That first day is so important.
Hooroo, I'm Luke.
Goodbye, I'm Laura, and thank you so much for joining us. For more content that will help you elevate your employee experience and performance, you can find us at centrical.com/boost podcast.
Boost.
Oh, you're still here? We thought the audience had cleared out. Well, lucky you stuck around for the encore. Here is a fun moment that didn't make the main stage cut.
I'm calling you out on something, Jillian.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
What?
You've been checking out my LinkedIn profile. I've hit the friend request. We're meant to be connected. We've been doing this show for like months now, and you're leaving me hanging. Is it because of the time difference? Is that
Have
it?
I not answered it?
Nothing.
Ouch.
Calling me out on air. I'm going to go right now. Here we go. And let's see if you're in there. I could have sworn. Oh, there he is. Left on
Pending.
red.
Left on red.
I think maybe we should ask the Magic 8 Ball if I should accept it.
Do it. Laura, pull it up. Magic
right,
eight.
let's
What
pull
do we
it
got?
up.
Fate of the 8.
Should
Do-
Jillian accept Luke's LinkedIn request?
Oh, let's see.
You're in luck. Outlook is good. Not
Accept.
100%, but Outlook is good.
Okay.
Accept. I did it. There you go.
Well,
Yeah,
this is
legit.
also a tried and true strategy now to get people to accept your friend requests, everyone.
Yeah.
So you start a podcast, you corner them while recording, and then you get a new friend.
And there we
That's
go.
how I've grown my network. Simple. Just peer pressure.
We now have the Luke playbook.